Hi, my name is Arthur and this is Broken Australia. Here is something nobody at Harvey Norman will ever tell you. The 5 appliances sitting in your kitchen and laundry right now were designed by accountants, not engineers, and the repairmen who pull them apart for a living will not put those same brands in their own homes. Today I am giving you the list they actually use. The buy it once list. The brands that Australian repair professionals recommend to their own families when nobody from the manufacturer is listening. Why Australian appliances are DIYing faster than ever. Let me give you a number. The average Australian household spends between $1,200 and $2,400 every single year replacing appliances. Not repairing them, replacing them. That is not a repair budget. That is a subscription you never agreed to sign up for, sold to you by brands that are counting on you never doing the maths. 30 years ago, your parents bought a washing machine, maybe a Simpson, maybe a Hoover. They used it for 18 years, called a repairman once, paid $80 for a belt, and kept going. That machine probably still exists in someone's garage running just fine. The one you bought 3 years ago at JB Hi-Fi is already making a noise that sounds like a cement mixer filled with gravel, and the quote to fix it came back at $600 on a machine you paid $750 for. This is not bad luck. This is the system working exactly as designed. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to the late 1980s and early 1990s. Australia had a functioning domestic appliance manufacturing sector. Simpson, Email, Kelvinator, Chef, built here, serviced here, held accountable here. The repairman who fixed your oven lived 4 streets away. The parts were stocked at the local trade supplier. The manufacturer had a telephone number that rang in the same country you were calling from. I know that sounds like I am describing a fantasy. I am describing 1989. Then 2 things happened almost simultaneously. Import tariffs came down and big box retail arrived. When Harvey Norman opened its first superstore and started competing purely on sticker price, it changed what manufacturers had to deliver. Not quality, price. The race to the lowest number on the yellow ticket began, and it has not stopped since. Every dollar stripped from the manufacturing cost went straight into the retailer margin and the marketing budget. The machine got cheaper to build. The ticket price barely moved. You paid the same and got half the product. By 2005, Simpson was owned by Electrolux. Email had been absorbed. Kelvinator was a badge on a Chinese-made box. Fisher and Paykel, the last genuinely independent Antipodean appliance manufacturer with real engineering credibility, held on until 2012 before Haier bought them and the story changed completely. We will come back to that. What replaced genuine manufacturing was a system the industry calls value engineering, a phrase that sounds like a compliment and means the opposite. Value engineering means identifying every component that can be made cheaper, thinner, or swapped for a lower grade material without causing the machine to fail before the warranty expires. Not before the machine should reasonably stop working. Before the warranty expires. That is the target. 1 year plus 1 day of functional operation. That is the entire ambition of the engineering brief. The data backs this up. A study tracking appliance lifespans across comparable economies found washing machine lifetimes dropped 45% over 3 decades. Refrigerators that used to run for 22 years now average 12. Dishwashers that once lasted 15 years are being replaced at 7. These are not projections. These are numbers pulled from real repair logs by technicians who have watched the collapse happen across their own careers. Here is the number that makes it concrete. You can buy a brand new dishwasher for $490 at Harvey Norman. The control board for that same machine, when it fails at year 3, costs $380 just for the part. Labor is another $150 to $200 on top. You are now at $530 to repair a $490 machine. The manufacturer knows this, the retailer knows this, the repairman knows this. The only person in the room who does not know this is you, standing at the checkout with your card out. Now let us talk about exactly how they do it. The 3 design tricks that kill your appliance before the warranty ends. There are three specific engineering decisions that show up in almost every budget and mid-range appliance sold in Australia today. Each one of them is deliberate. Each one of them shifts the cost of failure from the manufacturer to you. And once you know what to look for, you will see them everywhere. The first one is the sealed component assembly. Older appliances were built in modules. The motor was the motor, the bearing was the bearing, the pump was the pump. When something failed, you replaced the failed component. A bearing on a washing machine drum cost $40 to $60 and took a competent repairman about an hour to swap. The machine ran for another decade. Today, most major brands sold in Australia use what is called a sealed drum assembly. The bearing is permanently molded into the outer tub. They are one piece and they cannot be separated. When the bearing fails, and it will fail because bearings are a wear item designed by physics to eventually wear out, you cannot replace the bearing. You have to replace the entire drum assembly. That repair comes back at $400 to $900 in Australia, depending on the brand and the model. Most people look at that number and buy a new machine, which is precisely the point. The same principle applies to refrigerator compressors, sealed system repairs. If the compressor fails, the entire refrigerant circuit needs to be opened, evacuated, repaired, and recharged by a licensed technician. In older fridges, the compressor itself was a replaceable unit, and the repair was still manageable. In modern budget refrigerators, the compressor is so deeply integrated into a proprietary sealed assembly that sourcing a replacement is nearly impossible, and the labor to access it makes the repair economically absurd. The second design trick is proprietary parts with planned discontinuation. Walk into any independent appliance parts supplier in Australia and ask for a control board for a Samsung washing machine from 2019. Watch their face. They will either laugh, apologise, or both. Manufacturers in Australia are not legally required to maintain parts availability beyond the warranty period in most product categories. Many of them discontinue parts for a specific model within 3 to 5 years of that model's release. So if your machine develops a fault at year 4 and the part it needs was discontinued at year 3, you have a machine that cannot be fixed. Not because the repair is difficult, because the part does not exist. This is a particularly common problem with electronic control boards. Starting in the early 2000s, mechanical timers and simple electrical switches were replaced with electronic control boards across almost every appliance category. Washing machines, dishwashers, ovens, dryers. The pitch was smarter operation, better efficiency, more features. The reality is that a mechanical timer can be repaired by almost any competent electrician using parts from a trade supplier. An electronic control board, when it fails, can only be replaced with the exact proprietary board from that exact manufacturer for that exact model. When that board is discontinued, the machine is dead. A mechanical timer lasts 25 years, an electronic control board lasts 6 to 10. You do the maths. The third design trick is material substitution on components you cannot see. Manufacturers learned a long time ago that buyers assess quality based on what they can touch and see, the door handle, the control panel, the finish on the front. So the visible surfaces got better. Brushed stainless, tempered glass, clean modern lines. Everything looks premium. Behind the door, behind the panels, inside the drum cavity, inside the wall of the cabinet where your hand will never go, the materials got cheaper. Plastic replaced steel on structural components. Thin pressed aluminium replaced heavy cast components on pump housings. Rubber seals that used to be rated for 15 years of thermal cycling are now rated for 5 years. The machine looks better than the one it replaced. It is not. It is a better dressed version of a cheaper product, and it has been engineered to let you discover that fact on your own time after the warranty has expired. The brand's Australian repairmen tell you to avoid. All right, I want to be clear about something before this chapter. I am not here to be sued. I am here to tell you what Australian appliance repair professionals actually say when you ask them which brands they refuse to touch. This is service industry data. This is what comes off the truck. Samsung. Every repairman I've ever spoken to about this brings up Samsung without being asked. The 2016 recall of 2.8 million top-load washing machines, hundreds of reports of machine tops physically detaching mid-cycle, 9 injuries, including a broken jaw, and one woman in Queensland reporting her machine hit the ceiling of her laundry. Samsung settled. They moved on. The machines kept coming. Beyond the recall, the pattern that repair technicians describe is consistent. Samsung parts are difficult to source in Australia. Many independent repair shops have stopped accepting Samsung warranty work because the parts lead times make the job commercially unviable. When something breaks outside of warranty, you are frequently looking at a machine that cannot be repaired at a price that makes any sense. Samsung knows this. Their solution is that you buy another Samsung. And look, I owned a Samsung washing machine once. It lasted 4 years and 3 months. I want you to know that is not a coincidence. That is a business model. Fisher & Paykel. This one is painful to say because Fisher & Paykel used to be genuinely excellent. New Zealand designed, properly engineered with an active smart refrigeration system that was ahead of its time, and a washing machine agitator design that was actually intelligent. Repair technicians who have been working in Australia for 20 and 30 years will tell you the Fisher & Paykel machines from the 1990s and the early 2000s were some of the best domestic appliances ever sold here. Then Haier bought them in 2012. Haier is the largest appliance manufacturer in the world by volume. Their business model is not premium engineering, it is scale. Since the acquisition, repair professionals report a consistent decline in component quality inside Fisher & Paykel machines, while the price point and the brand reputation have remained largely intact. You are paying for the old name and receiving a different machine. The badge did not change, the factory did. Hisense, Beko, Euromade, the budget tier. These brands exist to hit a price point on a yellow ticket. They are not engineered for longevity. They are engineered to pass the regulatory minimum required to be sold in Australia and to survive long enough that the retailer is not processing returns in bulk. Common complaints across all three include faulty sensors within the first year, drum imbalance issues that never fully resolve, and electronic faults that appear at around the 3-year mark on a machine sold with a 2-year warranty. The timing is not accidental. The pattern that connects all of these brands is the same pattern. Sealed components, proprietary electronics, short parts availability windows, and warranty periods calibrated to the failure schedule, not to any genuine confidence in the product. What Australian designed actually means, and why it is almost always a lie. Here is a phrase I want you to treat with deep suspicion the next time you see it on a box at Harvey Norman. Australian designed. It sounds like a guarantee. It is a legal construction. Under Australian consumer law, a product can be labelled Australian designed if the design work, meaning the aesthetic decisions, the user interface, the product brief, was completed by people in Australia. The manufacturing, the components, the engineering tolerances, the materials, the quality control, all of that can happen anywhere on Earth. The label does not tell you where the machine was built. It does not tell you who made the components inside it. It does not tell you what standard the factory operated to. It tells you that someone in an office in Sydney or Auckland drew a sketch of what the front panel should look like. Fisher & Paykel used this positioning extensively after the Haier acquisition. Technically accurate, substantively misleading. The consumer protection gap here is significant. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission has guidelines around country of origin labelling, but the designed in Australia claim sits in a space that is legally defensible and practically deceptive. The manufacturer gets the credibility signal of a domestic connection. The consumer assumes a quality assurance that does not exist. The gap between those two things is where the margin lives. When you see Australian designed on an appliance, ask one question. Where was it manufactured and who made the compressor? If the answer is not available on the packaging, which it almost never is, you already know more than the label wanted you to know. The buy it once list, the only 5 brands Australian repairmen actually trust. Right, here is what you came for. I have spoken to independent appliance repair technicians. I have looked at service data from repair businesses across Australia. I have gone through consumer reliability reporting and cross-referenced it with parts availability and warranty terms. This is the list. 5 brands, the ones repairmen recommend to their own families. Number 5, Bosch. Bosch is a German manufacturer, and the important word in that sentence is manufacturer. Bosch designs and builds its own core components, the motors, the pumps, the control systems. They are not assembling boxes around components sourced from the cheapest supplier in a catalogue. They engineer the machine as a system. In Australia, Bosch dishwashers consistently record some of the lowest service rates in the category. Their washing machines use brushless motors with long warranty coverage. The parts are available. The service network is genuine. Independent repair technicians can actually get what they need to fix a Bosch machine, which sounds like a low bar and has become a surprisingly rare quality. The caveat with Bosch in Australia is model tier. Bosch sells machines at multiple price points, and the entry-level range does not carry the same component quality as the mid and upper range. If you are buying Bosch, buy Series 4 and above. Below that, you are buying a Bosch badge on a machine that was engineered to a price point that compromises some of what makes the brand worth buying in the first place. Series 4 and above. Write that down. Number 4, Electrolux. Electrolux is a Swedish company that has been manufacturing appliances since 1919, over 100 years. The institutional knowledge in that organisation is not something you can manufacture in a decade. The important distinction with Electrolux in Australia is the same distinction as Bosch. There are Electrolux Origin models with genuine Electrolux engineering inside them, and there are rebadged models built on platforms shared with lower-tier brands under the same corporate umbrella. The reliable Electrolux in Australia is the one carrying Swedish origin design, made in European or high-standard Asian facilities to Electrolux's own engineering specification. What makes Electrolux worth buying at the right tier is a combination of build quality, genuine parts availability, and a service network that independent repairmen can actually work with. Electrolux in Australia maintains parts for a minimum of 10 years after a model is discontinued. That is double the industry average for brands in this market. When something fails at year 7, you can fix it. That is not the norm. It is almost a competitive advantage. Electrolux refrigerators in particular have a strong reliability record in the Australian repair community. The compressor design is conventional and serviceable. The electronic systems are not proprietary in a way that locks out independent repair. A good technician can work on an Electrolux machine without a manufacturer-specific diagnostic tool that costs $3,000 and is only available to authorised service centres. Number 3, LG. I know. You are looking at a Korean brand on a list that started with German and Swedish engineering and wondering if I have lost the plot. Stay with me. LG makes the buy at once list for one specific reason: the direct drive motor. LG's direct drive washing machine technology eliminates the belt and pulley system that fails in conventional machines. The motor connects directly to the drum. No belt to stretch, no pulley to wear, no mechanical transmission point to fail. The engineering is simpler, which in appliance terms means it is more reliable because there are fewer things to go wrong. LG backs the direct drive motor with a 10-year warranty, not a 10-year warranty on the machine, a 10-year warranty specifically on the motor and the direct drive system. That is a manufacturer telling you in contractual language that they expect the core of the machine to run for a decade. When a brand puts a 10-year warranty on a component, they are not being generous. They are being confident. Consumer Reports in the United States rated LG the most reliable front-load washing machine brand for 2025. Yale Appliance, which tracks real-world service data across tens of thousands of machines, puts LG's service call rate at 2.7%. That is the lowest of any major brand they measure. In Australia, LG's service network is genuine, and their parts availability is better than most brands at their price point. They are not cheap. A quality LG front loader in Australia starts at around $900 and moves up from there. But the service data suggests you will spend considerably less time on hold with a repair booking line than you would with several of the brands we discussed in Chapter 3. Number 2, Miele. Miele is the premium pick, and I want to be honest with you about what premium means here before you look at the price and close the video. Miele is a German family-owned manufacturer, not publicly traded, not reporting to a quarterly earnings cycle, not making decisions based on what a private equity board needs to see in the next 12 months. They make decisions based on what their name means in 100 years. That ownership structure changes the incentive entirely. Every Miele appliance is tested for 10,000 hours before it goes into production. That is the equivalent of 20 years of regular home use. They test the machine until they understand how it will fail. Then they engineer out the failure mode before the product ships. This is not a marketing claim. It is a documented engineering protocol. Miele commits to making spare parts available for a minimum of 15 years after a model is discontinued. 15 years. The industry standard in Australia for many brands is 3 to 5 years. The difference between those two numbers is whether a repairman can actually fix your machine or whether a failed seal on an 8-year-old dishwasher turns a $60 repair into a full replacement. Price. In Australia, Miele washing machines start at around $1,600 and move up to $2,500 for the flagship models. Their dishwashers and refrigerators sit in a similar range. If your budget can reach that number, the total cost of ownership calculation over 20 years makes every cheaper alternative look expensive. A $1,600 Miele that runs for 20 years with 2 service calls costs significantly less than 4 cycles through $700 machines that each last 5 years. People who buy Miele tend to buy Miele once. That is not brand loyalty, that is maths. Number 1, Speed Queen. Speed Queen is the brand that Australian appliance repair professionals trust more than any other. And there is a reason you have never seen it advertised during a Harvey Norman sale. It does not need to be. Speed Queen makes the machines that have been in Australian laundromats for decades. The drum you have been loading at the coin laundry your whole life. The machine that runs 12 cycles a day, 365 days a year, with minimal maintenance for 15 to 20 years. They took that commercial platform and they made a residential version of it. Speed Queen is manufactured in Ripon, Wisconsin. Not because it is cheaper to make it there, it is not. Because the workforce and the manufacturing culture in that facility has been building commercial laundry equipment since 1908. And they are not about to change the way they do it to hit a lower price point for a big box retailer. Every Speed Queen residential machine is tested for over 10,400 cycles. That is the equivalent of 25 years of home use. The tub is stainless steel. Not the inner drum you can see, the outer tub you cannot see, the one that every budget manufacturer replaced with plastic because you would never know the difference. Stainless steel. The TR7 model, which is their flagship top loader available in Australia, comes with a 7-year full warranty, not a parts warranty, not a limited warranty with 17 exclusions on page 4 of the fine print. A 7-year full machine warranty. That is the best in the industry, full stop. The design is deliberately simple. Mechanical controls, fewer electronic failure points. A machine a competent technician can diagnose and repair without a proprietary software tool. Parts are available for decades. The service network understands the machine because the machine has not been redesigned every 18 months to hit a new promotional price point. Speed Queen starts at around $1,000 in Australia and tops out at approximately $1,500 for the flagship model. More upfront than a Harvey Norman special. Less expensive than every alternative when you run the numbers over 20 years. Repair professionals do not just recommend Speed Queen, they own them. That is the most honest endorsement in this entire video. The 2 rules every Australian buyer must memorise. Before you walk into any appliance store in Australia, I want you to have 2 questions ready. The salesperson on the floor will not be able to answer either of them comfortably. That discomfort is the information. Rule number 1, check the warranty. A warranty is not generosity, it is a confident statement in contractual language. When a brand offers a 1-year warranty on a washing machine, they are telling you in legal terms that they expect it to function for 1 year. not 10. 1. They engineered the product to that expectation and priced their liability accordingly. Australian consumer law does give you protections beyond the stated warranty for products that fail to last a reasonable time. But exercising those rights means a dispute process that most people do not have the time or energy to pursue. The manufacturer knows this. The short warranty is a bet that you will not fight it. A brand offering a 5-year warranty, a 7-year warranty like Speed Queen, or a 10-year motor warranty like LG is making a different calculation entirely. They are backing their own engineering with their own money. That is the signal. If the warranty is 1 year, walk away. Rule number 2, check whether the core component is sealed. Ask the salesperson directly. If the drum bearing fails, can it be replaced without replacing the entire drum? Watch them look at their shoes. If it cannot, you are not buying a machine with a failure point. You are buying a machine with an expiry date. Bearings wear out. Physics does not negotiate. When it fails, the repair quote will land just below the cost of a new machine. That is not a coincidence. That is the business model. Run the numbers before you buy. A $700 machine lasting 5 years costs $140 per year before a single repair call. A $1,200 Speed Queen lasting 25 years costs $48 per year. The cheap machine is not cheap. It is expensive on an installment plan you never agreed to sign. The buy it once mindset, why cheap is the most expensive thing you can buy. Here is the maths that the appliance industry does not want you to run. The average Australian household replaces a washing machine every 8 to 10 years. Over a 30-year period, that is 3 machines. At an average purchase price of $750, that is $2,250 in purchase costs. Add 2 repair calls per machine at an average of $300 each, and you are at $2,850. Add the energy inefficiency of machines that are operating at degraded performance from year 3 onward, and the real number is closer to $4,000 over 30 years. A Speed Queen at $1,200, running for 25 years, with 1 service call over that period, costs $1,500 over the same 30-year window. You save $2,500 by spending $500 more upfront. That is not a complicated calculation. That is the buy it once mindset in a single paragraph. The same logic applies across every appliance category. The Miele dishwasher that costs $1,800 and runs for 20 years is not a luxury purchase. It is a financially rational decision dressed in German engineering. The Bosch washing machine at $1,100 that your repair technician can actually service is not a premium indulgence. It is the cheaper option when you account for the full cost of ownership over time. The appliance industry has spent 30 years training Australian consumers to think about the number on the yellow ticket and nothing else, to evaluate quality by how something looks in the showroom and how little it costs at the register, to treat appliances as consumables rather than investments. Every decision about sealed drums and proprietary boards and 3-year parts windows was made in the knowledge that most people would never run the numbers. Run the numbers. The buy it once list exists because some manufacturers still build machines the way machines used to be built, not out of nostalgia, not because they have not noticed what their competitors are doing, because they made a decision that their name means something and that the machine leaving their factory has to be worth that name 20 years from now. Speed Queen, Miele, LG with the direct drive motor, Electrolux at the right tier, Bosch Series 4 and above. These are the 5 brands that Australian repair professionals trust, not because they are perfect, because when something goes wrong, there is a part available, a technician who can access it, and a machine worth fixing. Every other brand on the showroom floor is making a different bet. They are betting that the machine looks good enough to buy, survives long enough to clear the warranty, and fails expensively enough that the cheapest option is to buy another one. They have been winning that bet for 30 years. Check the warranty, check the drum, buy it once. My name is Arthur, and this is Broken Australia. Next week we are covering refrigerators. sealed compressors, discontinued gas types, and the fridge that 12,000 Australians replaced last year because a $40 part was no longer available. Subscribe before that one drops. I promise it will make you angry.